In this video, we're going to take a look at the developments that took place in Season 7, Episode 20 of The Curse of Oak Island. But first, I'd like to wish you and yours a very happy Easter. Season 7, Episode 20 of The Curse of Oak Island begins at the Money Pit area, where the sinking of Caisson 8A is underway. Recall that Borehole 8A, similar to Borehole S6, which was excavated back in Season 6, Episodes 17 and 18, is intended to intersect the junction of the Money Pit and the Shaft 6 tunnel. Back in 1861, this tunnel lay at a depth of 118 feet. Since the Money Pit area is now 10 feet lower than it was in the past, however, the tunnel is now believed to lie at a depth of around 108 feet. Borehole 8A reaches a depth of 78 feet without incident, passing through what appears to be in situ soil. At a depth of about 103 feet, 5 feet shy of the approximate target depth, the Caisson encounters some resistant material which Caisson operator Danny Smith believes to be wood. The next hammer grab load indeed contains a handful of splintered wood, to Danny's obvious delight. Certain that 8A has intersected the Shaft 6 tunnel, the treasure hunters extract several more hammer grab loads from the Caisson, which they scan with a metal detector before washing by hand. The spoils yield many tiny scraps of leather. These are not the first pieces of leather to be found on Oak Island. Throughout Seasons 5 and 6, the crew discovered fragments of leather in Borehole H8, which, the narrator informs us, lies 10 feet northwest of 8A. At least one of these fragments, found at a depth of 162 feet, was determined to be vegetable-tanned bookbinding, through which fibers of sheepskin parchment were found woven. Strikingly similar to the events of this episode, the crew also found leather at a depth of 101 feet in Borehole S6 in Season 6, Episode 17, at what was then suspected to be the confluence of the Money Pit and the Shaft 6 tunnel. Also among the 8A spoils is a small piece of what appears to be a hand-wrought iron. Jack Begley initially suspects the artifact to be a piece of a hinge. Laird Niven subsequently verifies his hunch, by independently yet tentatively identifying the object as part of a strap hinge. The crew continues to excavate 8A, finding a large hand-cut piece of oak at a depth of 114 feet. Gary Drayton then examines the spoils with his metal detector. "Talk about finding a needle in a haystack," he says, as he retrieves what he identifies as a sailcloth needle from the muck. The treasure hunters sink 8A to a depth of about 165 feet. The last few hammer grab loads contain nothing but water, prompting the crestfallen fellowship to abandon the hole. Near the beginning of the episode, Alex Lagina, Gary Drayton, and Billy Gerhardt dig an exploratory trench between the eye of the swamp and the paved wharf. Less than a foot below the surface, they uncover a layer of large rocks embedded in clay, which Gary suggests might be a continuation of the paved area. The boys then do some metal detecting in the trench and come across two long, thin iron rods, bearing resemblance to the pieces of primitive rebar found near the slipway in Season 7, Episode 11, and to the cribbing spikes discovered at Smith's Cove throughout Seasons 6 and 7. Gary remarks that these artifacts, which are the first of their kind to be discovered in the Oak Island swamp, constitute evidence of tunneling or shaft building in the area, similar to the pickaxe head found at the eye of the swamp in Season 7, Episode 13. Alex, Gary, and Billy continue digging and quickly come across several pieces of charred wood. The narrator then reminds us of the theory, introduced in Season 7, Episode 14, following the discovery of the scorched metal bracket at the northern section of the swamp, that a sailing ship was burned centuries ago in the swamp. Gary Drayton suggests that they show the wood to Dr. Ian Spooner, while Alex Lagina suggests that they have the pieces carbon dated. The three treasure hunters then call over Rick and Marty Lagina and show them their recent swamp discoveries. Marty confidently identifies one of the metal rods as a crib spike, concurring with Gary Drayton's earlier assessment, and expresses surprise that such an object would be found in the swamp. "What does it mean?" he asks, clearly frustrated by the discovery's mysterious implications. The next day, Marty Lagina, Alex Lagina, and Gary Drayton drive to the Ross Farm Museum, where they show Carmen Legg the thin iron rods they found in the swamp. The blacksmithing expert identifies the longer of the two artifacts as a tine from, quote, "a long fork or a seaweed fork or a moss fork," unquote. He then suggests that the shorter rod, which is tapered at both ends, might be a marlin spike, a tool used for nautical rope work and rope repair. The narrator subsequently attempts to connect the possible marlin spike with the theory that a sailing ship was burned or buried centuries ago in the Oak Island swamp. Finally, the treasure hunters show Legg the needle-like object found at a depth of 114 feet in Borehole 8A. Although the blacksmithing expert initially declares that he has no idea what the object is or what it was doing at depth in the money pit area, he later opines that it is too large to be a sailing cloth needle, and suggests that it might have served as a spike in a trou-de-loup type booby trap at the bottom of the money pit. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and would like to help support this channel, please check out my book, The Oak Island Encyclopedia, which you can find by clicking the link in the description.